I think that's the problem. And the other part of the problem is I listened to one of your other shows
Mm-hmm.
with Stephen Bassett,
Yeah.
and he had mentioned that there's a kind of an atmosphere of ridicule around the whole UFO phenomenon, and I think that's correct. And I think that also discourages people from, reporting it anywhere. And so I think that's pretty much what it is.
All right. If there are UFOs, I haven't seen one.
Oh, really?
Okay, I'd like to believe I've seen things that I can't identify, but I'm not going to call them UFOs from another planet because I don't know that for a fact.
Okay, the part of the I admit that here I am writing a UFO book,
Mm-hmm.
but I've only had two good UFO sightings in my entire life, and so I'm in my mid 60s now, so that um, in effect it's a pretty rare event. But the second one I saw with my wife, and I'll just tell you this one real quick.
Okay, sure.
We were up here in Massachusetts, and we were driving on a road west of Boston that was surrounded by swamps on both sides.
Mm-hmm.
And we were going to pick up our daughter, and she was only like 10 years old at the time, and over at a friend's house.
Right.
And so we're driving along, and we got to this swampy area, and I looked up in the sky. I was in the passenger seat, and my wife was driving.
Mm-hmm.
And I looked up and I saw this lenticular-shaped object up in the sky, incredibly brilliant. It was probably early spring, maybe 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock at night, and this thing was really, really bright. And I said to my wife, I said, "What the heck is that?" As I was pointing at it, just as I pointed at it, the thing, which was up around 2,000 feet, and I could tell that later. I figured it out. It dropped 2,000 feet in just a second. It was just literally a blur. And I knew instantly, Rob, when I saw that qualified as a UFO, because one of the characteristics that makes UFOs, unidentified, is their ability to overcome inertial forces, and inertia is the resistance to acceleration. We Earthlings cannot accelerate much faster in jet fighter planes. We can't withstand more than about 10 Gs,
Mm-hmm.
10 times the force of gravity, and even then we need a pressure suit in order to do it. And yet this thing clearly had probably gone 60, 50 or 60 Gs in seconds. And so in some way, which we'll talk about tonight, in fact, I guess we should get into the physics, but I have an idea of how they're doing it, and it's actually based on what's going on in modern physics. And it's quite interesting, and I think very exciting, and I think we may understand UFO technology within a decade or two.
Why don't they just land and get it over with? Apparently, from what I've been told over the years, they mean us no harm. There's no evidence anywhere that any of these extraterrestrials have ever done anything to harm anyone. You get the odd report that of the from different witnesses that yes, there have been some negative actions taken, but the vast majority are kind of neat. Wow, saw a UFO, spoke to an alien, and away you go. So,
Yeah.
so why don't they just land and get it over with? Why the secrecy?
Okay, this is conjecture on my part,
Mm-hmm.
but I've been asked this question many times when I go out and talk in public, and this is what I think. I think, believe it or not, they don't want to. I think they want to. I think they consider us to be a developing civilization.
Mm-hmm.
And I think many parts of the earth are perfectly civilized. Despite what you might see on the news, I believe the vast majority of humans are quite civilized. But nevertheless, there's still conflict, and there's still parts of the planet that are further behind than other parts. And I think what my guess is that there may be a federation of advanced civilizations. And the reason I believe this is because I don't think it's just one civilization that's visiting us, Rob. I think it's many, many civilizations, but they all behave in exactly the same way. They avoid direct contact. I don't quite believe these stories about contact and conspiracy theories and all that. And they totally avoid any direct contact. There is a few indirect communications, like flashing of headlights on cars, things like that, but nothing where they come down and say, "You take me to your leader."
All right.
And so I think what they're doing, and this is my conjecture, I believe what's happening is they want us to reach they want us to get as far as we can socially and politically before they make their introduction. And I think they will make their introduction when we have the capability to travel to other stars, and which I hope to talk that I'll talk about that tonight. I think I know how they're doing it, and I think we're going to have that capability within a decade or two, or at least we'll understand how to do it. And so I think that's it. I think. Oh, one more thing. I'm sorry, I forgot one more thing. This is actually very critical. I think the critical thing will be when we develop the ability to travel to their star systems. At that point, they'll make themselves known. And the reason they'll do that is because we have nuclear weapons. And if we have the ability to travel to their stars, we could clearly take nuclear weapons with us. And of course, they definitely want to prevent that. So I think what will happen is, as soon as they get an inkling that we have this capability of going to other civilizations, other extraterrestrial star systems, they will intervene at that point, and they'll offer us probably some kind of a deal where we can join the Federation, which will have many benefits, but in order to do that, we'll have to give up nuclear weapons, something like that. That's what I think is going on. And I think it's very, very basic. I think it's just normal caution when you're dealing with a developing civilization.
Bob, stand by. We've got to take our news break at the bottom of the hour. www.xzoneradiotv.com is my web address. My email address, XZoneNation, is xzone@xzoneradiotv.com. And on all social media, X Zone Radio TV. This is the X Zone, a place where people dare to believe and dare to be heard. And the X Zone is coming to you around the world on the X Zone broadcast networks and our growing family of broadcast affiliates and satellite program providers. My name is Rob McConnell. I'll be back on the other side of this break. Don't go away. Are you considering calling a psychic to read your situation? Then consider David Champion, a psychic medium for more than 20 years with thousands of readings under his belt. David Champion will make you feel comfortable. He has proven to be honest and accurate. He's a straight shooter. There's no guesswork. What he sees is what you get. While he is a medium, most of the calls focus on relationships, not only love, but work, school, neighbors, and more. Need help with finding a job and preparing for the interview? Are you dealing with people who are obstacles in your path? For more information, go to davidchampion.com, $1.50 per minute paid by credit card with a minimum of 30 minutes. For your reading with David Champion, call 1-877-702-8598. That's 1-877-702-8598. Now you can dial in to listen to the X Zone Radio Show from anywhere in the world with Rob McConnell 24/7, 365 by dialing 213-401-0080. That's 213-401-0080. If you have a mobile phone or landline, the X Zone Radio Show with Rob McConnell is now at your beck and call at 213-401-0080. That's 213-401-0080, 24/7, 24/7/365. Now you can dial in to listen to the X-Zone Radio Show from anywhere in the world with Rob McConnell 24/7/365 by dialing 213-401-0080. That's 213-401-0080. If you have a mobile phone or landline, the X-Zone Radio Show with Rob McConnell is now at your beck and call at 213-401-0080. That's 213-401-0080, 24/7/365.
This is the X-Zone Broadcast Network, broadcasting worldwide on broadcast affiliates and satellite program providers, including CNN Broadcast Network, Sirius Satellite Network, Star Media, Good News Radio Network, Angel Broadcast Network, Wiki Broadcast Network, and WPBN TV. For more information on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, visit us at www.xzbn.net.
Welcome back, everyone. Bob Schroeder is our guest. He's the author of Solving the UFO Enigma, How Modern Physics is Revealing the Technology of UFOs. And his book is available at Amazon.com. Bob, during the commercial break, we chatted briefly, and I have a hard time with understanding that if they don't want to make contact, and if they've traveled all this way to come to this little planet, why make themselves so obvious?
In a way, they're not. It seems to me they're trying not to be obvious. In fact, the two sightings I had were in a way fleeting, and many of the sightings that like Air Force pilots have been similar. They'll see the object momentarily and then it'll zip off. I don't think they're trying to make their presence known or too obvious. They do seem to be just examining us, and I know, and I'm very. I've got Robert Hastings' book, Nuclear Weapons and UFOs, and I've spoken to Robert on a couple of occasions, and there's no doubt that they do seem to be interested in our nuclear capability, especially our nuclear weapons, but also nuclear power plants and things like that. I do think they have a very strong interest in where our technology is at this moment, or as time goes on, they're monitoring it, and so I kind of stick by my belief that I think that they're waiting for us to reach as much maturity as possible on our own. They don't want to interfere, and then when we get the ability to travel to other stars, at that point they're going to step in and offer membership in the Federation.
Well,
and
this is starting to sound like an episode of Star Trek.
It is, and I think in a sense it might be similar to that. But I think it's just common sense on their part, because they don't want a lot of, because there has to be, in my opinion, probably millions, perhaps billions of civilizations out there.
I've got to tell you something, that if these people are as smart as many people on the outside think they are, they're lousy intelligence operatives, because if we go to do intelligence gathering on another country, we don't make ourselves known. Here you've got these space travelers who apparently have all this great technology, and they have to come this close to us to monitor us. It does not make sense.
Well, I think it may very well be that much of the monitoring is done in a stealthier manner, because one thing, Rob, that has been reported over and over again are these tiny probe-like devices that have been seen around military air bases. Like they'll see something maybe the size of a grapefruit, and or even a tennis ball, and I believe they have developed probes that can kind of examine nuclear facilities or our latest